There are two containers sitting on my balcony railing right now, about a foot apart, in the same afternoon sun. Both of them got the same thing on the same Tuesday. The white root ends off a bunch of green onions, the kind most folks drop straight in the trash. Same potting soil out of the same bag, same balcony, same weather. One has bright green shoots standing 8 inches tall, and I have already cut from it twice for supper. The other one is mush, brown at the base, soft, and it smells sour when you get close. I did that on purpose. I watered the second one the way I used to water everything, back when I killed every plant I touched. A little splash every morning, being kind. It was dead in 11 days, so it was not the sun, and it was not bad luck. It was the water. And the dead one got more water than the live one. Stay with me to the end, because a plant that is drowning and a plant that is dying of thirst look exactly the same. Exactly the same. Wilted, droopy leaves hanging over the side of the pot. And there is one thing you can do in about 4 seconds with nothing but your finger that tells you which one you have. Get that backwards and you will water a plant to death while you are standing over it trying to save it. I am Jake, though most folks around here know me as Backyard Buddy. 3 years ago, I was the guy who killed houseplants, and I am not exaggerating. I once managed to kill a cactus, which takes real commitment. Since then, I have regrown hundreds of plants from kitchen scraps on my windowsills and my balcony, green onions, celery, lettuce, potatoes, ginger, peppers, and tomatoes. And my grocery bill has dropped by nearly a third. My neighbor Gloria, a retired school teacher 2 floors up, has been growing food on her balcony for 20 years, and she taught me half of what I know. So, how does a free scrap end up dead in 11 days, sitting in the same sun as one that is feeding you? It gets loved to death. That is the honest answer, and it took me a while to accept it. When I started out, I watered every single morning. A little splash in every pot along the windowsill because that felt like taking care of them. A quarter cup here, a quarter cup there. The soil surface always looked nice and dark, and one by one those plants went soft at the base and quit on me. The money side of this stings too. A tomato from the garden center runs about $4. A bag of potting soil is $8 or $10. And every plant you lose is also all the food it never grew, so a dead pepper plant on a balcony is not a $4 loss. It is more like $30 of peppers you were planning to eat all summer. Now the good news, and this is what I wish somebody had told me on day one, watering right is not a green thumb thing. There are 7 rules, every one of them free, and most of them are easier than whatever you are doing now. A couple of them will actually save you time. And I will come back to that wilted plant from the opening, because telling thirsty from drowning is the one that decides how your whole summer goes. Now this whole watering routine I am walking you through is one part of a book I put together called the 30-Day Kitchen Scrap Garden Protocol. 0 waste, 0 experience, free food. That is my name on the front, Jake Hartley. Inside there are 31 crops you can regrow from kitchen scraps, each one with its own plain instructions, a $10 starter kit made almost entirely from things you already own, and a 30-day plan that walks you from your first glass of water to your first harvest. 172 pages, written for somebody who has never grown a single thing. It is $17 right now, marked down from $47. $17 one time against a grocery bill that gets a little smaller every week after. Now go ahead and grab your phone and open up your camera, the same one you used to take pictures. Point it at that square code on your screen and hold it steady for a second. A little link will pop up, give it a tap, and it will take you straight to the book. And if you are watching on your phone right now, the link is waiting for you right down below in the description. Take your time. There is no rush at all. I'll wait right here. All right, back out to the balcony railing. Rule number 1 fixes about half of everything. Rule number 1, water the soil, not the plant. Look at how most of us water a tomato plant. We stand over it with a watering can and sprinkle right across the top so the water lands on all those big green leaves and runs down them like rain. It feels right. Rain does exactly that. But your plant does not drink through its leaves, not one drop. Every bit of water a plant takes in comes up through the roots, down in the dark, under the soil. So when you sprinkle over the top, 3 things happen, and none of them help you. Most of that water sits on the leaves. Some of it evaporates in the sun before it ever reaches the dirt. And the little bit that makes it down only wets the top half-inch of soil, which is dry again by lunchtime. Do this instead. Put the spout of your watering can down low, right at the base of the plant, close to the soil. Pour slowly. Let the water soak in around the stem and keep it off the leaves. If you are using a garden hose out in a raised bed, take the spray nozzle off or turn it down to the gentlest setting you have. Lay the end of the hose right on the soil beside the plant. Let it trickle in. Dry leaves, wet roots. That one change on its own will save you plants this summer, and dry leaves matter a whole lot more than you would think. That is rule number 3, and it is worth the wait. Rule number 2, water deep and water less often. This is the one I had backwards for a whole year. A little splash every morning feels caring. What it actually does is train the roots to stay up near the surface, because that is the only place the water ever shows up. Roots grow toward water. If the water never gets deeper than half an inch, the roots never get deeper than half an inch. Then, one hot day in July, the top of the soil bakes dry by 10 in the morning, and that plant has nothing underneath to fall back on. It goes over in a single afternoon, and it looks like it happened out of nowhere. So here's the number to remember. In a container, water until you see water running out of the drainage hole in the bottom. That is the whole measurement. When it runs out the bottom, the entire root ball got a drink top to bottom, and you can stop. In a raised bed or a garden row, it is about 1 inch of water a week, given all at once instead of spread out. 1 inch a week. If you want to know what an inch looks like, set an empty tuna can out on the soil while you water, and stop when the can is full. That old tuna can is the most accurate rain gauge in America, and it costs you nothing. Then you leave it alone. That is the hard part, and it is the entire trick. Deep drink. Let the soil dry down a bit. Deep drink again. Rule number 3. Water in the morning if you possibly can. Early morning, right after sunrise, is the best time to water anything you plan on eating. The soil is still cool, so less water is lost to the air, and the plant gets a full tank before the sun climbs. Evening watering is where people get in trouble, and here is why. When you water at night, especially over the top, those leaves stay wet for 10 or 12 hours in the dark. Wet leaves plus a warm night is exactly what powdery mildew and leaf spot are sitting there waiting for. You will see it on squash leaves first, that dusty white film, and on the lower leaves of tomato plants, those yellow spots with brown centers. Now, if evening is the only time you have, please do not skip watering. Just water the soil only, down at the base, and keep every leaf dry. Dry leaves at bedtime. That is the rule. And if you are growing on a kitchen windowsill indoors, morning still wins, but there is no dew and no night chill in your kitchen, so it matters far less in there. You water when the soil tells you to. How the soil tells you is coming at the end, and it is the part that changed everything for me. Rule number 4. Check the bottom before you blame the top. Every container you plant in needs a hole in the bottom. Not a pretty hole, just a hole. If you are planting in an old coffee can, a 5-gallon bucket, a takeout container, anything at all, turn it over and put at least 3 holes in the bottom with a nail or a drill bit. 3 holes, at the very least. Without drainage, water fills up all the little air pockets in the soil, and it has nowhere to go. And roots need air. That is the piece most of us were never told. Roots are not only drinking down there, they are breathing, and when every air pocket is full of water, they suffocate. Then there is the saucer, that little dish under your pot that catches the runoff. Empty it. 20 minutes after you water, tip it out into the sink. A pot sitting in half an inch of old water is a pot with drowned roots by the weekend. And for the scraps in a jar of water on the windowsill, there is one rule that saves 9 out of 10 of them. Only the roots go under the water. The green part stays above it. Set a celery bottom in a glass, and the water comes up about ½ an inch. No more than that. ½ an inch. Change that water every 2 days so it stays clear. Cloudy water on a windowsill is where mush begins. Rule number 5. Cover the soil and cut your watering in half. Gloria taught me this one, and I argued with her about it for a month. Bare soil dries out fast. The sun hits it directly, the wind pulls moisture straight off the top, and by afternoon, that top inch is dust. Put a layer of something over it, and all of that slows way down. In a raised bed, use straw, shredded leaves, dried grass clippings, or bark mulch from the garden center. Lay it about 2 inches deep. 2 inches. And keep it pulled back about an inch away from the stem so the stem itself stays dry. On a balcony container, you can do the same thing on a smaller scale. A handful of shredded dry leaves on top of the potting soil works fine. So does a brown paper grocery bag, torn into strips, which is what I use on my big 5-gallon buckets. Here's what that gets you. Gloria's tomato plants in 5-gallon buckets go 2 and 3 days between waterings in August with mulch on top. Mine, back when I left the soil bare, wanted water twice a day and still went limp by supper time. Same water, same sun, different soil surface. Rule number 6, slow water beats fast water every single time. Pour a whole quart into a dry pot all at once and watch what happens. Most of it runs straight down the inside edge of the pot and out the bottom in about 4 seconds, and the middle of that root ball is still bone dry. All you did was water the sink. Dry soil actually repels water at first, especially the light, fluffy potting mix most of us buy. It has to be wetted slowly before it will start soaking again. So, in a container, pour a little. Wait a minute, then pour again. A little, wait, a little more. 3 passes, and you are done. Or do what I do with anything small and water it from the bottom. Set the pot in a pan with an inch of water in it and walk away for 20 minutes. The soil pulls that water up through the drainage hole all by itself, all the way through the root ball, and it can never overflow. 20 minutes, then lift it out and let it drain. Out in a raised bed, this is what a soaker hose is for. It is that black, slightly rough hose that weeps water along its whole length. You lay it right on the soil underneath the mulch, snaking past each plant. Turn it on low for half an hour. It puts water exactly where the roots are, at the speed the soil can actually take it in, and not one drop lands on a leaf. Rule number 7. Check every day. Water only when the soil says so. Those 2 sentences are not the same thing, and mixing them up is what kills container plants. A container on a hot balcony in July can go from damp to dry in 1 afternoon. A mulched raised bed might hold for 4 or 5 days. A jar of celery on a kitchen windowsill barely changes all week. No calendar covers all 3. So Tuesday is not a watering day. Tuesday is a checking day. And checking is free. It takes about 4 seconds to pot. Which brings me right back to those 2 containers on my railing and the promise I made you at the start. Here is what nobody explained to me for a whole year, and once you see it, you cannot unsee it. A plant that is drowning and a plant that is dying of thirst look exactly the same. Both go limp. Both droop over the side of the pot. Both go pale and lose that shine on the leaves. And that is because of what is happening underground. Remember, roots breathe. When soil stays soaked, every air pocket down there is full of water. Those fine root hairs suffocate and they start to rot. A rotted root cannot pull water up into the plant. So the plant sits in a pot full of water and it wilts because it is thirsty. Thirsty in a swamp. Now think about what you and I do when we walk out on the balcony and find a wilted plant. We reach for the watering can. Of course we do. And if that plant was drowning, we just poured the last shovel of dirt on it. That is how I killed those green onions in 11 days. Not in one go. A little bit every single morning, being kind. So, here's the 4-second test. And this is the whole video in one move. Push your fingers straight down into the soil, right up to the second knuckle. About 2 inches deep. Not the surface. The surface lies to you every single time. 2 inches down. Now feel. If it is dry down there, or barely damp and crumbly, that plant is thirsty. Water it deep, right at the base, until it runs out the bottom. If it is wet down there, cool and heavy and sticking to your finger, put the can down and walk away. That plant is drowning, and the only thing it wants from you is air and time. Move it somewhere with a little breeze, tip out the saucer, and do not water again until 2 inches down feels dry. That is it. Same wilt, opposite answer, and your finger settles it in 4 seconds. That one habit is what turned me from a fellow who killed a cactus into a fellow with a balcony full of food. If I can do this, I promise you can. And that is the whole idea, one scrap at a time. The book walks you through 31 of them, day by day, starting with something that is sitting on your cutting board tonight. The 30-day kitchen scrap garden protocol, $17, marked down from $47. One tomato plant you do not kill this summer already pays for it, and everything after that is free food on a windowsill. Now go ahead and grab your phone and open up your camera, the same one you used to take pictures. Point it at that square code on your screen and hold it steady for a second. A little link will pop up, give it a tap, and it will take you straight to the book. And if you are watching on your phone right now, the link is waiting for you right down below in the description. Take your time. There is no rush at all. I'll wait right here. So there it is. Water the soil and not the leaves. Water deep instead of often. Keep those leaves dry at bedtime. Put a blanket of mulch on top and let your finger make the call. Do me one favor before you go. Walk over to one pot, push your finger 2 inches down into the soil, and come back and tell me in the comments what you found, wet or dry. I read every single one. Next time, I am going to show you what happens when you set the bottom of a romaine lettuce heart in a shallow bowl with ½ an inch of water on a windowsill that barely gets any sun, because it greens up faster than anything else on my list, and most people throw that piece away without a second thought. Don't throw it away, grow it. I'll see you next time, buddy.